it's a really important thing. With that, happy to take any questions you may have.
On attendance, why did National mention Omicron and winter illnesses as major factors in the attendance decline for Term 2 in your press release today? Is it fair to comment on this issue without providing the full context?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I looked at the Term 1 data, earlier in the year, and what was obvious to me, less than half of the actual decline in absence at school was due to sickness, and it's the same here. Other countries have had Omicron, other countries have had COVID, Ireland, Canada, Australia, the US, UK, and they have much higher levels of regular attendance at schools here. We need a concerted effort by government, schools and parents to get their kids back to school.
Speaking of overseas, in the UK, parents can be fined for taking holidays during term time without school permission. Would you consider doing that in New Zealand if elected?
Well, we're at a stage now when you have 40% of your kids only going to school regularly, 60% not making regular attendance. We need to consider absolutely anything and everything in order to get parents to face up to their responsibility, which is to get their kids to school, schools to do the same to make sure kids don't get disconnected from the school community, and government, frankly, given the investment in the back office and the functions of the Ministry of Education, to make sure we actually have people focused on the front line that actually are working hard with families and kids to get them back to school. So all options are on the table.
Can I switch to Reserve Bank? The Reserve Bank has given itself a pass mark overall for its handling of monetary policy over the last few years. Do you agree?
No. The bottom line here is we've had the Reserve Bank mark its own homework, and we've ended up with a report that really is not what we needed. What we needed was an independent review by independent people to assess whether the government's actions and their tremendous amount of spending, the $1 billion more a week that we're spending, coupled with the Reserve Bank actions and the amount of money that has been printed, actually contributed to making the cost of living crisis and inflation much worse.
Has the Reserve Bank made inflation worse?
There is no doubt that that's what we wanted, an independent inquiry to ascertain, is exactly did we keep the stimulus in place did New Zealand keep the stimulus in place for too long? Did the government keep spending at a rate that was unsustainable, that was driving into domestic inflation? Has it actually worsened bank profit, made bank profits larger? Has it actually worsened the cost of living crisis? So that's why we want an independent inquiry into the actions of the Reserve Bank and government spending to see whether that has what lessons we can learn from the past.
Should the government have waited to reappoint Adrian Orr until after this report was released?
The government should have done an independent review first and foremost, and then made an assessment about the appointment of the governor. That's what we wanted to see. That's what we've been talking about for some time.
Just back to the attendance rates, the low attendance rates, how would Christopher Luxon-led government turn those numbers around?
Yeah, well, we've got to, as I said, there's three actors involved in actually getting improved attendance at our schools. The first is that we have employed over 1,400 more people at the Ministry of Education. A lot of those people are sitting in the back office of the ministry functions, and we need to make sure we can deploy resource to the front lines to actually work with families in terms of being able to get families and kids connected back into school. A lot of that is also working with community organisations that can facilitate and bridge between schools and community and families in order to get kids back to school. I've met with some of those organisations. They do incredible work. The second thing is that schools get funded on the basis of having a full complement of pupils in the school, and therefore they need to have a responsibility to make sure that they are getting their kids to that school. And the last thing I would say to you is that parents have a massive responsibility to wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning and get their kids to school. We have a responsibility as parents to make sure our kids have opportunities we didn't have, and education is the way in which we do that. So we have to call parents to responsibility as well.
Today's open banking announcement, how will this help Kiwis struggling financially?
Well, look, open banking happens in other parts of the world. Frankly, New Zealand's been way too slow in embracing it. And what it really does is it creates more competition in the sector, and that's a good thing.
Are banks actively avoiding competition when it comes to sharing customer data?
Well, again, you've got to have protocols and supporting and enabling legislation up and running to be able to make sure that you can transfer data securely and safely between banks and bank accounts. But really, that's why I'm saying the government's been a bit slow on it. It's a good thing. It works in other parts of the world, and it increases competition. That's only good for customers.
Just so to the US in regards to the midterm elections, there was anticipation that there was going to be a red wave. It's a little bit tighter in some corners. Does that suggest that polling can be a bit of a false storm?
Oh, look, I don't know, but I mean, all I can tell you is, I will work with whoever, I don't get involved in elections of other countries. I need to work with whoever the people of America elect as their president and their government.
Yeah. Do you see any kind of correlation between what's happening in New Zealand polling-wise to the United States?
No, I don't. I mean, what I can tell you is, New Zealanders up and down this country are very, very frustrated with this government because they sense that it's all spin, no delivery. And it doesn't matter. This government is spending $1 billion more each and every week in this country, and we are getting worse outcomes economically. Our healthcare system is falling apart. Our education system is at record lows in terms of attendance and achievement. We still have a housing crisis, and we have rapidly rising levels of crime. So the New Zealand people are over it. They're sick and tired of a government that talks a game but actually never delivers, and that's what they're frustrated with. Awesome. Well, I say thank you so much. Go out and enjoy seeing the animals and what's happening here at the show. Take care. See ya.